And for our next project, we're going to repurpose magazines, and we're going to change them into a bowl. And so the first thing you need are magazines. And if you have a thick magazine, you'll need about 3 of them. If they're thinner, about 6. And I just suggest that when you do this to use the same kind of magazine, because the pages are different for each magazine company as far as their glossiness. So the first thing you're going to need are the magazines. I ended up getting these free through doing a survey online, and I got these magazines free, so there's no cost to me. The first thing you'll do is start tearing out the pages. You get the idea. You're going to pull out all the pages in the magazine. And then the next thing I'm going to show is how you fold them. First, keep in mind the color of the page. Whatever has the most color splashes is the ones you want on the outside. In this case, the one side's more solid, so I'm going to have this side on the outside. So that will be underneath. So the first thing you're going to do is fold it in half and crease it with your thumb in the middle. Next, you're going to open that up, take the one side and fold it toward that center crease that you just made, and then crease that. Do the same thing with the opposite side. Bring that toward the middle and crease it. Now fold that in half. Make sure it's creased, and then we're going to fold it one more time. And one more time again. Fold it in half, and make sure you go over that with your thumb. Crease it really tightly so it's nice and flat. So it'll make a big difference in your final product. I'll show it one more time. This side has more color, so I'm going to put it on the bottom side. We're going to fold it in half. Open it, bring it to center. Opposite side, bring to center. Bring each side in again. And then fold in half. Make sure you crease the sides out really nicely. Okay, now to start the bowl, the very first piece you're going to roll. Bring it around. And it's not going to cooperate real well, so don't worry about the wrinkles. Just keep rolling it. Okay, so you see how tightly that is. Now take a piece of tape, and you're going to tape it right down to itself. And then I'm going to put several pieces of tape out. So the next thing, we're going to put a piece at the end of the next strip, and we're going to line it up. And then we're going to just roll it right on that beginning core piece. And try to pull it as tightly as you can. And then you take another piece, and you can slide them in between each other if you like, or you can go on the end. It's up to you. Either way it will work. And you just continue to tape. Take that and you're going to roll it again. And this gets easier as it gets bigger. You can start swirling it on the table, but initially you got to hold it all by hand. So you're going to keep winding around like that, adding piece after piece, like I've started here. And then let me show you what I've done here. This is when you've gotten a little bit bigger. We want to try to get it up to about 25 centimeters across, which is about 10 inches, all the way across that diameter. So your end result will look like this. And then to make it in a bowl, keep in mind you've got this core in the middle, and you need to decide where you want the base to be. You can create any shape you want, and you can change it at any time you want. You lift up the sides. Sometimes it's hard to tell when you're looking from above, so you might want to take a tape measure and make sure it's all the same height around, so like this one's a little lower. And you've got a bowl. If you'd like this to be waterproof, you could add, there is a glue you can make with water, and that could make it waterproof. I like the idea of being able to change it up depending on the situation I wanted to use the bowl for. But you can change it to whatever you want. And if you want a smaller bowl, you just don't have to have as much diameter across. So you can make many small bowls and get the same result. Just keep in mind to have the same weight of the magazine paper so it's consistent for the whole bowl itself. And that's basically how you would make a magazine bowl. And it's a great idea for repurposing those magazines that are stacking up around the house. So we're going to start getting ready for our next project, and we're going to pause briefly now. Thank you. And for our next project of repurposing, we're going to upcycle pallets, wood pallets, and convert them into a table. In order to do this, collect the pallets. I was able to find them free. If you can search online or in your local community, there's a lot of companies that are just giving these away because they're a gathering nuisance, and they are a trouble for our communities and their trash. So this would be a great thing if you can find them in your community. I was able to find mine free. So when you get your pallet, the first thing you're going to do is sand them. And I recommend getting it's called a sanding block. And by using these, it was a lot faster, and it was able to get into areas that are a little bit tougher with the flatter piece. I also use the coarse grain sandpaper as well, and it was easier for me to cut them into 4 sections so they were smaller and I could manipulate them around. Do all sides, front, back, and the sides. And keep in mind this would be a table, so you want to do even the rough edges on the sides to make sure everything is smooth for anyone that's going to be around the table. Alright, and then the next thing we're going to do, after you sandpaper, I recommend getting what's called real milk paint. Real milk paint was the kind of paint that was used before the modern day paint. Today's paint isn't very environmentally sound. I did find this company. If you go to www.realmilkpaint.com, and they do have this milk paint that is better for the environment. They have all sorts of colors, traditional and then the old-fashioned shades of colors. And they also recommend when you use the milk paint to use sponge brushes. This makes it smoother and without the streaks. This is the palette that I painted, and you're going to need to paint at least 2 coats, get all sides. And then also I purchased the ready-made legs, and I painted them to match the table. And then a friend of mine drilled in 4 holes on each corner. And the ready-made legs had the screws in them, so I was able to screw them right into the top of the palette. And this makes a quick, easy table. And my next step, which I haven't gotten yet, is to get a glass piece to go on top. Right now it's not too bad, but a glass piece would also give it further use in my home. So this is a fun, easy project, and it was relatively minimal cost and good for the environment. It helps get the pallets out of those businesses that are having a backlog of those, and puts them in our home and helps be a useful piece of furniture. And we're going to pause briefly for our last project. Hi, and for our final project, we're going to do a repurposing of vintage windows. The first step is to track down an old window. I was able to find the windows I found on Craigslist. They were under the art section. I was also looking under the free section and the contractor section. But keep an eye out. A lot of people are redoing their windows and upgrading them, and they just want to dispose of their old windows. I was able to get the 2 windows that I purchased for $5 a piece, which was pretty good, I thought, for a wood window. And we'll get back to this in a minute, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I started. After I got the wood windows, I next had to think about a design. And I found this great book on Amazon.com, and it's by A.G. Smith, and it's basically a stained glass coloring book. And there's different designs inside, and I chose one design, actually 2, but I chose one to show you today. And he does allow and give permission in the front of the book to allow you to enlarge these and reuse them. So with that permission, I went to FedEx here in my town and had the design blown up. And I had them do 2 ways because this was a 6-panel window. So I had them do the picture the one direction and then the other, so it looked like a continuous scene. And then that way I didn't have to worry about freelancing on the opposite side. So that's how you begin with the planning of the art end of it. When you do get it blown up to size of the window, you're going to cut each section to the window pane.